Lifeweaver is being looked at by Blizzard because he's got a bad control scheme, and also he's a little bit weak. This is great news, and it's also really great to see how fast the reaction actually is. But there is one thing I want to say at the top of this video. I think it's really interesting that they released Lifeweaver in this sort of, I'm going to just say this, in this weaker state. In this state of, Lifeweaver's trying to do a lot of different things. He's got a lot of negatives. He's very hard to play. He's got a very high skill ceiling. You need a massive Overwatch brain to make him, you know, function correctly. Like, when should you be pulling? What's your positioning? Who should you be lifting up? Where should you be placing the petal platform? What should you be doing with the tree? There's all these questions, right? Very difficult hero, and it just kind of made me think that maybe they had like a super buffed version of the hero and then they nerfed him. Very interesting stuff, because it's an easy thing to level at the developers, saying, you know what, actually you just make these new heroes OP so you can sell battle passes. But they actually, well, they haven't for this hero. I mean, you could go into the entire argument if they've given him incredible skins and he's got great cosmetics and that sells the hero, and just the way the hero has been designed, instead of actually the way the hero plays. So I don't know, but this is very interesting stuff. So what I want to do is jump over to these tweets Aaron has made, because it's going to give us great insight into what they're looking at when it comes to fixing Lifeweaver. On the 12th of April, Aaron said the team is looking into alternative control methods for Lifeweaver's dash and weapon swap in order to make the transition from healing to damage smoother. Additional details and timing coming soon. Now, what is this aimed at fixing? Well, I think it's quite obvious, isn't it? It's very clunky. It's very sort of abrasive. It's very obtuse to swap between healing and then swap to damage in the middle of a fight. That's the crucial thing here. When you're out of combat, swapping weapons is fine. That's great. You know, we can all swap weapons. But when it comes to actually doing damage or healing effectively in combat, it becomes very muddled. Again, this is that idea of Lifeweaver having a very high skill ceiling. And you're probably thinking, like, what the hell is, what is this guy talking about that I'm listening to? He's going on about it's hard swapping weapons. I know it's not hard to swap weapons, but in the flow of the game, while you're trying to think of everything else you can do as Lifeweaver, where's my petal platform going? Who should I be pulling? Maybe your tree's ready to go. I need to heal. Oh, I need to do damage. It's very difficult. I mean, there's loads of times when you play the hero where you throw healing at the enemy, or you try to. You're like, oh, I need to get my gun out. Oh, no, I'm throwing healing. Oh, no, what am I doing? And it's a mess, right? Obviously, we previewed a workshop mode on this channel in the last video, actually, showing the damage on alternate fire, which made it much smoother, because you know in your head, I do damage, I press alternate fire. I heal, I press primary fire. Much easier. Now, whether the devs actually do that, I don't know. They might want to keep him swapping weapons, because that might be one of the character's core identities. Now, I don't agree with that. I think it's not great. And I think I said this in the previous video, but I think the main reason in my eyes why it just doesn't work with Lifeweaver swapping weapons compared to Mercy is healing almost all of the time, or damage boosting with her staff. Lifeweaver is, well, he needs to be doing damage and healing constantly. Like, you're constantly swapping between whatever you're doing in a fight. Mercy doesn't do that. She only pulls a blaster out in dire situations, or if she's popped Valkyrie, yeah, or maybe she's going for a bit of cheeky damage. But Lifeweaver, you're doing it all of the time, and it feels terrible to play. And I bet you as well, a lot of these comments coming from the Overwatch team are probably in relation to maybe playtime statistics for the hero. Maybe they're not very high, although maybe they are, because again, he is the new hotness, quite literally. So a lot of people probably are playing him, but maybe they just, you know, maybe play him a little bit and then don't go back to playing him. I don't know. It's interesting stuff though. So yeah, they're definitely looking at the control scheme, which is good news. So Aaron's most recent post comes today, actually, if you're watching this video as it's gone live. In the early hours of the morning in the UK, though, this came out. But Aaron says this: the team will continue collecting Lifeweaver performance data over the weekend and should have details on balance changes, more than likely a buff, sometime next week. Info on coming control scheme changes should come next week as well. So this, again, is good news. We've got a little bit more of a firmer commitment to a date of when we'll get the control updates. But this is interesting because they are actively monitoring performance data over the weekend and should have details on balance changes, more than likely a buff coming next week. Where will this buff go? It has to go into his healing. I mean, he doesn't heal for enough. He's a support hero that doesn't really heal. Like, when you say that, it sounds crazy. It's like, surely all supports should be able to heal, because that's the way Overwatch is designed. Now, I get having supports that do other things as well. You shouldn't just be a heal bot. That's kind of boring, right? You should have other elements to your kit. Like, again, using Mercy as the example. Mercy has got high mobility, right? And she can do damage, and she can damage boost. Look at Anna. She can damage, she can heal. She's got utility. Look at BAP. In fact, maybe BAP is a better comparison to Lifeweaver. BAP's got that more natural doing damage and then healing as well on his primary and alternate fire, which could be the case for Lifeweaver going forward. But I think they're going to buff his healing. I'd be very shocked if they didn't. Now, there is one thing he doesn't mention specifically here, and that's the tree. The Tree of Life, I'm going to go in on this. I've already gone in on this a few times. I think this is one of the worst ultimates in the game from a feel perspective. When you put this down, it's like, okay. You compare this to Zen Transcendence. The feeling of Transcendence is absolutely incredible. You literally become one with the iris. You launch yourself forward. You become invincible. You get increased movement speed. You rapidly heal everyone. It just feels amazing, right? It's that moment of like, it's go time, time to save. The tree, though, is like, oh, look, I guess I'll put this massive, ugly tree down because I don't think it looks very nice either. And it's a strange color. And I'm just going to leave it there. And people are either going to just run away from it, or the healing it does isn't really very impactful. And yeah, in fact, the best thing for the tree, or rather the best uses I've seen of the tree, are using it to block spawn doors. And is that really what Blizzard want in an ultimate? It's just a May wall. That's literally it. It's like, oh, I guess my ultimate's ready. It's King's Row. It's, yeah, we're pushing into the final point. I'll just throw my tree into one of their spawn doors and hope they don't come out of the other one. It's not great. So maybe that gets looked at in the future, but I think there's more immediate things for Lifeweaver. Definitely the heal needs looking at, and obviously the control scheme. There is also some information on a problem with ranked and what the devs are doing to fix this. So Aaron says this: we've been working to solve an issue for some players who received lower final rank in Season 3 than they should have. We've identified a fix and plan to include it in the next patch later this month. Impacted players should receive their correct Season 3 rankings and receive competitive points and titles based on where they ended once the patch goes live. To help make up for this, competitive points will be granted again. So these players will get both the correct CP again, but they also get to keep the original grant that we gave them. So this is good news. The ranks are being fixed and you're also getting additional CP. Okay, let's talk about Brig, because this is a very hot topic at the moment. Is Brig actually bad? Now, okay, a lot of people came out, initial reactions, this is ridiculous, it's super OP. Question is why? Well, I think this might have been a case of a bit of PTSD, I think, where Brig and a stun is a recipe for disaster. However, how is this actually manifesting in the game, and what is going on with the hero? Well, it looks like in the moment-to-moment gameplay, Brig is actually a bit worse because she's lost range on Repair Pack, which actually is quite a big nerf. But when her ultimate is active now, it's less so, I guess, a tool for engaging the enemy and knowing that you just won't die because you're constantly regenerating that armor, to a tool now which you're using defensively. You're using it to counter what the enemy might be doing. Now, this could be a very elegant change by the devs, finally slotting Brig into that anti-dive support category. I thought she was going to be this frontline sort of support, pops her ult, runs in, massive barrier, big stuns. Oh my god, we're never going to kill her. She's giving everyone armor. She instantly gets 100 armor herself. She's going to be impossible to kill. But it's not actually turning out to be like that. Now, why I think she's actually pretty good against dive, or will be good against dive, is that 100 armor is really good actually for a rapid reaction or a response. So if you get dove upon and maybe you're with your other support, again, this depends on good support positioning by the Brig, you can instantly pop it, keep yourself alive. You've suddenly got a massive barrier which you can use to help your other support, and they're also getting armor anyway just because that's what Rally does. And then you can also bash that target. So I'm seeing Winston having a bad time against the Brig, but only when she's got her ultimate active. And I think that's the issue here, right? This is only when the ultimate's active, and Brig hardly ever really gets her ultimate active in a game. Okay, you will get your ultimate in a game, but you're not getting it every fight. That's what I'm saying, right? It's a fairly slow to charge ultimate. Now, the other component to this is the stun. Now, I thought we were going to go into a world where Brig's going to be running forward and just bashing everybody out of all their abilities. But of course, you can only do this in, well, when your ultimate's active, and it's 5v5, isn't it? Players are not close together. Players are generally all over the place. So who are you actually going to bash? You might bash the Reinhardt, but are you really going to time it to bash out of his Shatter? It's going to be hard. Maybe you could bash a Reaper out of Death Blossom. Again, it's all going to be reactionary stuff. Anyway, thank you for watching the video, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, let me know what you think about this in the comments below, and I'll catch you lovely lot on the next one. See you soon.